to Who Put This On, Season 3, Episode 43, where we watch Opposite Worlds, Season 1, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz.
This is James.
I'm Harrison Hoffman.
My name is Max, presented by Verizon.
My name is Anna Biddle.
Oh.
Bibble?
So we watched this show as a recommendation from a listener. Shout outs to Eric. Thank you for recommending.
Good job, Eric.
A show. Harrison, you got the show description up for us, or do I need to stall for time?
In Opposite Worlds, 14 people face off on opposing teams that live in a house separated into two distinctly different worlds, one past and one future, each with its own unique advantages and disadvantages. One by one, they will be eliminated, with the final standing player crowned Opposite Worlds champion and winning $100,000. That's Opposite Worlds on Sci-Fi.
I have some questions already, but
All right.
There are some things in the description that I don't think ring very true.
it said 14. I'm pretty sure it was 12, right?
It was 12.
Yeah. Unless there's a season 2 of this.
There is not season 2.
Okay, so
So
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
So this show is a competition reality show, Team A versus Team B. And there's one competition per show, 40 minutes. It's fucking long.
Yeah.
Like, fucking far too long. And, like, I just...
I can tell you what the show is in a nutshell.
Go ahead, James.
This show is a mashup of Big Brother and The Challenge, and it's on Sci-Fi with crazy people running the show. It's like a poor man's version of both those combined, is my opinion.
I feel
And
like
Survivor a little
it's
bit.
trying to do more Survivor
a little bit
than
of
the
Survivor,
Challenge.
sure. Yeah, throw in Survivor. It's a mix of those three shows. There's a challenge. There's a house situation with a live episode where America votes, and then there's like the shitty team gets to like live in a survival style, like make your own shit. That's basically the show.
there's a show
Right.
with a much closer comparison, actually, where
Okay.
the house is split in two, called Twinning.
Oh,
Ooh.
Twinning
Man.
was such a popular reference, Max.
Throwback.
What was that? Season 2?
Listen,
Probably.
you go back and listen to Twinning.
Twinning.
We did that.
it's a classic.
So yeah, there isn't a whole lot of like things that happen in the show. Like the intro, the people very oddly, which we need to get into.
Yep.
They get into this house, and there's like a big reveal when they reveal the other side of the house to the other people. And then they like living in this house. Then they do this team challenge. Many people get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There's a winner. And then they go back into this house. And that's it. That's what happened.
That's the episode.
That's everything. I think you covered it.
I got to get my notes out. Trying to find my phone. People are not feeling the time.
There was definitely some interesting things that happen off of that, but it's all really just into the minutia.
Yeah.
And
just
we're gonna quickly dive into rants of things. I feel like.
Oh, yeah. My mind is just blown right now from
like-
what's happened here.
Yeah, but like when you take it all back and you're like, well, what actually happened? That's basically it. There's not a
Yeah.
whole lot that really goes on. It's not that complex. It's pretty straightforward. But like I like how Sci-Fi tries to brand this as like some future thinking, like revolutionary experiment. Like at some point, Luke Tibble or whatever is like, this isn't just an ordinary, social experiment show. This is some kind of revolutionary, new modern way that we're gonna test people in this world and see who survives. And
He
like,
calls it a revolutionary social media experiment due to the Twitter integration powered by Verizon.
yeah,
Hey, you gotta trust him. He is a scientist,
Yeah.
as we
And
know,
an adventurer.
and an adventurer.
we need to talk about Luke Tipple.
We got
right
it.
now. He might be one of the worst hosts that we've had. He's terrible.
Incredibly bad.
He's
think-
so boring.
He's really not great. You would think like the, questionably Australian accent might be able to save it, but no.
He's the epitome of just like a generic
Ryan
reality
Seacrest type.
TV host. Like he's getting up there, he's delivering some lines. It
It's-
is what it is.
It's like if they gave Ryan Seacrest the whole hosting job.
Oh yeah.
Like instead of just the, hey, this is this segment. Now back to you, Bob. Like,
yeah, he just.
Ryan
I
would've
think
done
they try to
better,
put
though.
too much on this guy.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
just.
Ryan Seacrest definitely would have done better.
He's
but
a
like
pretty,
Ryan Seacrest knows not to take this kind of a job.
Oh, definitely.
So
This
There's just
guy's
nothing
not
here.
working with very much content, which
Right.
is so bamboozling because they've made this like very crazy premise and then they don't really explain it. Like the intro of the show, like we don't know why they're doing this. We don't know why people are on their teams.
What
we don't
are-
know like what the challenges are going to be or like what like the out like what are the stakes? Like why are they doing this?
what are they hoping to discover or find out by having these people live this way? Like, what is the
What is the
question that they're trying to
experiment?
answer?
they didn't do any of that. They're just like, yeah, these 6 people, which we have to get into, and they walk into a house.
So, like in the show description, it says that each side offers distinct advantages and disadvantages. What advantages
Well-
are being offered by the past caveman side of
Let's
things?
go.
Well,
We
we're-
gotta
yeah.
talk.
We can't
before-
talk about that yet.
No. We gotta talk about how these people are just naked.
Okay,
this
yeah.
intro
We're rolling
segment.
back minute number 1.
You gotta go minute number 1 here. Gotta talk about this. People are just wearing underwear and thongs, and then they do this weird cut
That cut was great though.
where they
that was
just
a great cut.
They like turn and start walking, and then there's a cut to them walking into their house.
Arguably,
But-
this was the best part of the
The
show.
best part of the show is the first 3 minutes of the show.
You missed the thing. So as they cut though, it goes from the underwear shot to the fully like new clothes shot, like all like
Yeah,
bam,
yeah. It was
It's like a
in
split
stride,
screen
like a split
view.
screen,
yeah.
right? Like they're walking in and they're just transforming into these
It's
new
really
clothes.
good.
It's really great.
But to go back to the underwear part, let's zoom in on that a little bit
Why
more.
was underwear so weird?
They're all okay. So first off, it's 6 people standing side by side, like several feet between them. Each is under their own vibrantly bright spotlight. Very strange. They're in some kind of warehouse wearing white underwear and like very skimpy bras for the women. All the underwear, male and female, is definitely very thongy, which we see as they all turn to the right, like at
like-
the same moment, and start marching into the future or the past. It is buck wild.
it is one of the craziest intros I've ever seen.
It's good. Like I thought there was like some real hope for this show. I was really excited
Yeah.
by this intro.
I think like you said out loud, like, why are they wearing this underwear? And I thought like, oh, maybe there's gonna be like a reason
Yeah.
for it, but the explanation
Not
never
at all.
came.
It's like the thinnest possible underwear, and it's just like it's disaster.
And there's this one guy. Who's so
Frank?
big, and you can see like I think he like did like some kind of exercise before this, so he'd be like super jacked because his muscles are like tensing,
He's
and they
popping.
really spend a lot of time panning across his body. Like it's wild.
I think they cut to it a couple times too.
Definitely.
And I think that like Max and I like had this like look of like, oh, this is gonna be good after like this intro.
Yeah.
And I
We were
spoil
wrong.
we were not didn't pan out.
We've never been more wrong.
I mean, like it seems like they're definitely like setting it up as a show that kind of has like a little bit of like a sexy edge to it, and then like you get into the show and there is
Not at all.
no sex appeal in sight.
So the first thing they introduce is this future house, which looks baller. Like
It looks fine. If
it
you're
looks
into
pretty
that.
fun. I think it looks pretty fun.
It's like this, postmodern, very contemporary,
Hotel.
plain hotel, South Beach, all white decor kind of.
They just have a bunch of boxy white furniture and like a nice shower, and they call it the future.
Well, they
Uh,
get
well, the restroom is nice. Like they got
The
these
restroom's
Japanese
nice.
toilets. They got like this crazy multi-head showers, steam showers. They got these like hot tub in the backyard. Like there's some pretty nice
Well,
amenities.
The future.
they all have tablets.
Current tech you can afford. It's a luxury. Like it should have just been like the house of luxury.
It's the
Yeah.
lap of luxury.
Lap
You're
of
living in
luxury.
the lap of luxury.
They have a surface, like an actual surface,
Like
like
the
the table thing that no one had.
I don't know where they got that from.
That's
They
like
stole
a
it.
that's like a 40 grand fucking thing. Like no one has that.
They're really scraping to be like, hey, what could we put in this thing that's the future that people haven't seen before?
Yeah.
Oh, do you remember this explanation of the sheets?
Oh, we gotta talk about the sheets. Well, also we're
Oh.
introduced to the sheets by the interactive home assistant, which is like iPads
Apollo
mounted on
or
the
something,
ceiling.
or-
What's
Athena.
it?
Athena.
Athena like
Yeah.
pipes in to like say like everyone assemble, and they all like get together.
Yep.
And then she explains like in this robot voice like some of the features of the house, which include sheets
Thermal-regulated sheets.
adjust to your temperature.
Yeah.
To be fair, that sounds great.
It
Right.
does.
But is that real?
No.
And like
What does that mean?
it and like they very specifically didn't say sheets that are comfortable no matter your body temperature. They said sheets that adjust to your body temperature
that mean?
so that you're never too hot or too cold. Like there's some kind of mechanism happening with these sheets.
like if the bed did it, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the sheets,
they're called smart sheets.
Smart sheets.
All right, Athena. So there's
And then
that.
she says that we're always watching you.
Yeah.
that is the
Doesn't
future.
she say something about like wanting to keep them smiling?
Yeah.
Well, and then there was a moment where we're watching the show, and then somebody was like, "Oh, this is gonna turn on them,"
Yeah,
which
I mean,
would have been good. I
Yeah.
wanted
It's
that
like-
to
That
happen.
would've been the good
Watch as they rip
disadvantage.
us out of this in a minute.
Yeah.
Is
That-
what the professional gamer says.
oh yeah.
She
I mean,
knew.
like it definitely seems like at some point, like getting to like the disadvantages of living in the future. Like it seems like at some point they would show some of the quote unquote horrors of living in like the future and like some of the things that could be scary about living in the future, just like there are a bunch of scary things about living in the past. And I don't know that it's going to get there, but the first episode didn't really have any kind of indication that they were
Right.
going to
Definitely
keep
not.
playing with that concept at all.
I mean,
It's just the future's baller.
the,
Yeah,
the
sure. It's like
producers,
everything's great in the future. The planet didn't melt. Everything's awesome.
the
You can only
producers
wear
of-
white.
the producers of the show are terrible.
Yeah.
There's not like it's just bad. Like I don't think they've ever made a reality show before this episode.
Doesn't seem like it.
It's unbelievable.
And then like after this place is like they're like loving this place and they get back and they're like, oh, this door opened and there's just a jacuzzi. There's a hot tub in the back. And you're
door to
just
the back.
like, well, I definitely want to live here for sure. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
But
Man.
so then the reveal. Of
Well,
the,
so then we
Well-
see the other
world,
people
right?
go into their house.
Yeah, we have to talk
Right.
about
Before-
password.
yeah.
But the intro for them is essentially the same, right? Front standing
Right.
shot, all in underwear, turn to the side, and then they walk
And now
in.
they're cavemen. Their
Trade
outfits, though,
transition.
we gotta talk about their
Yeah,
outfits
yeah,
because
yeah.
the future people get like pretty normal clothes.
Yeah, it's like pant and
which
shirts.
is disappointing. They could have given them like weird clothes, but
It's
they're
a little
pretty
on the
normal.
skimpy side, but it's pretty normal.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, it's
It's-
like clothing that like you could
Yeah.
see in the world and you wouldn't think anything of it. But the past people get fucking rags and like these weird like
Rag
bras
bikinis.
that are made of like animal hides and like it is ghoulish what they've done to these people.
Like this one dude's just wearing like kind of just this hide on his chest and over his head.
Like
and
a
it's just,
scarf.
it's like, it's not even a scarf. It's like an Afghan kind of thing. And it's just like, that's his shirt. And you're like, what?
That's all that dude gets.
Forever.
Yeah, it's weird because like every shot, I'm just like, that's a fucking nut shirt. Like that's nuts.
It is.
And
The clothes are crazy.
and then the girls are just like walking around like, you have wardrobe malfunctions all over the place.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
definitely some side boob action going on.
yeah, their
and they
clothes are
can't
like
fix it.
their clothes are breaking. They give them such terrible clothes.
Some issues in the tipple area.
Hey.
Yeah, and like it's so cold that they're just wearing blankets all the time.
Yeah.
So,
It is
like,
like
even to
really
s-
not sexy.
Yeah, even to see them in their like non-blanket form is pretty rare. It's all this blankets.
And they're cowering and
Yeah.
shivering in
They're
every
so cold.
corner.
They're shivering with the blankets.
It
Like-
looks, and they have to sleep on these like these tarp bags full
They're-
of hay.
They're like on rocks or yeah.
I don't even know what they were sleeping on, to be honest.
And then their bathroom is like a spigot in the wall with cold water.
No, that's their shower.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the shower. Okay.
Their like toilet is just a latrine.
It's a hole.
It's a
It's just a
hole.
hole in a bucket.
Insane.
It is nuts.
It's
It is
yeah.
so bad.
I was definitely thinking when we were initially watching it that they had intentionally turned the air conditioning on or something in the past side of the house because they were so cold and shivering that you would think that it's intentional.
Because it's indoors. Like
It
it's
is
it's an indoor
indoors.
structure they've built. Right.
But like then at some point they walk outside and everyone's cold and you can see the host's breath and like it seems like it's pretty chilly there.
Right.
It is. Did they build this freaking house? Like, how?
Yeah,
what
that's
how it
happened?
seems.
How
They-
does this thing exist?
They definitely built it. They definitely built it.
They
I mean,
stumbled upon it and they thought, we can use this.
Let's take the other half of this house and turn it into a cave.
Like,
No, they definitely like.
I don't know.
But
It
it's
just seems
crazy too.
They
nuts.
blew the entire budget for the show on the construction of this house.
There's
like,
no reality show that I'm aware of that builds like anything like this.
Yeah.
Well, then
Other
they had
than,
no
like-
money left over to do any kind of safety testing.
certainly not.
So
I can't believe we'll get to it. I can't believe the show has insurance. Like, but this like past world sucks. Max was like, why would you leave the show right now?
You gotta get
But
like
you have
the
to-
prize is
but-
only $100,000, and there are 12 people on the show. You're not gonna win that money. Just get out of there.
But here's the
well,
thing,
you
though.
leave after the first challenge.
Right.
Like it gets worse than this.
And we'll dive into that. But
Yeah.
like, I just want to put some context though, and like I said this while we were watching the show, it's not like that bad to the degree of like Survivor bad. To be fair, like
It's-
there is some food provided.
Oh, yeah.
there is shelter. You're not just outside in like a fucking island.
It is not
so
that
like let's
bad.
be clear, like it's shitty compared.
Yeah.
but it's not.
It's not Survivor. It's not Naked and Afraid. It's not any kind of.
Yeah,
It's like
there are some other shows
It's
that like the
basically-
situation is legitimately way worse.
it's basically like you're living on like a cold movie set version of like the wilderness.
Yes.
right.
It's like yeah.
But this begs the question too, as with many reality shows, like what did these people think they were signing up for? Because like obviously like the reveal on this episode is everyone like figures out like what their housing is, and then it seems like they figure out what the challenges are. Like what did they know nothing? Like how does I just don't
How's the
understand.
recruitment?
Yeah.
I don't understand the recruitment or just like how this happens. Like when they're shooting that underwear shot, do those people know nothing about what's gonna happen?
I hope
like,
so.
It's wild to think about that for
Crazy.
me.
They might not. I mean,
Just
like
roll in, you're like, oh,
Just blindly agree to some sci-fi reality show.
yeah,
it's
like
wild.
at some point you submitted some kind of an audition to Sci-Fi for something, and they got you on file. Like, hey, looks like you'd be good for this social experiment we're doing. You want to come and be on this reality show? And you're like, sure.
I think it's there's two things they know. They know there's a chance of 100,000, and it's going to be a competition. That's all they know.
probably.
Yeah. Although it is funny when the host tells them about the prize and the competition, because no one seems that excited. Everyone
that's
just
true.
seems kind of cold and awkward.
I think we need to roll it back for a second.
and this show was in 2014. It's not like it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like the show's a bunch
Yeah.
older and like, oh, that was more money then.
That's not like a Survivor. Survivor is giving out $1 million
Yeah.
every like 2 months.
There's,
So like,
there's like, let me get this straight. I have to be on this show for 2 months for a 1 in 12 shot at winning $100,000. Oh boy.
so after one thing I want to get into is after they enter these two houses, there's like this giant like sound gong thing that happens, and there's like a countdown on the like future side, and when that happens, they reveal this giant glass like window.
Divider kind of, yeah.
Partition.
The future side can see the past side, and the past side can see the future side in every room. So like the bedroom is the same, so they could see each other in the bedroom. In the kitchen, they could see each other in the kitchen. In the bathroom, I don't really
You
understand
can see
that.
it when
Get
it's
some
open,
privacy.
I think.
So there,
When the
in
doors open,
yeah.
it's like sort
Well,
of like
I think the bathroom, there's like a common area of the bathroom, which is like the sink and stuff, and then there's like a stall for the like the toilet. There's like a toilet room. So I think that's how they get around that whole part of it.
And then you can see the backyard.
Right.
So I think one of the aspects here of like when you're in the past and you're like freezing, sleeping on the floor, you're constantly bombarded by these people that are just like eating sushi, sleeping on beds, hanging
in a
out
hot
on
tub.
social media, being in this hot tub. Like that seems like more torture than being on Survivor and being on, Naked and Afraid. Like maybe not Naked and Afraid level, but like there's definitely some psychological issues going on here beyond just being cold and kind of outside.
No question.
Not to mention, it seems like for some reason they're not giving the people in the past like protein. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like you get all the veggies
Here's some
and
bread
you
and
get
some
some
raw
rice and like but
Yeah.
the future gets like sushi and I don't know what else that's all we've seen them eat, but like
Yeah, are they gonna like
croissants.
are like they gonna let like some wild animals loose in the past side so they can hunt? Like they gonna do something like that?
It's just
Yeah.
this is like they went like so they like came with this premise and they were like they didn't take
Validate
it anywhere. They didn't do anything with it. They didn't even think about it. It's so nuts.
Oh my god.
It's really bad.
So at some point they mentioned this whole Twitter thing.
What was it called? The Twitter influence metric sponsored by Verizon.
And yeah, something like that. And they were like, so the show aired on Tuesday and Wednesday for 6 weeks. And we watched the first episode, which was a pre-air, like pre-canned thing. And then Wednesday's supposed to be a live show. And on that live show, you know, your votes get counted and somebody gets punished and somebody gets rewarded based on the popularity on Twitter.
So I have a
But
couple.
like the structure is really. We got to talk about the structure of this because it's like very confusing.
It is.
I don't
It seems
underst-
like it seems like okay, so we have a challenge in this episode which we'll get to. And then like after the challenge each team nominates one person who's going to be protected and that person can't get eliminated. So there are two protected people and then America votes for one of those people to be the decider on the next episode. And the decider, I think, puts one person up from each team to do another competition, and one of those people gets eliminated.
It's so
that right?
convoluted.
There's
It's-
like, I think you
I
got
think
it.
that's
right.
what
I
happened.
think that's what's supposed to
But
happen.
it is. There are so many steps in there, and you can't really get that invested because it doesn't really make sense. And like, why are you voting for these people? Like, it is so weird.
It makes no sense.
Why don't they just cut out the middleman and you just pick like a head-to-head matchup of who you want to go against each other in elimination?
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, and I guess
I
you're
guess it
also
takes out-
voting. So you vote for this decider person who's going to choose the final matchup, and I guess you're also voting on a reward and a punishment for America's
Well,
most popular and least
I feel like the
popular
punishment
person.
is just somebody that you don't talk about. I feel like the reward is just the person that gets is the most popular, and the least popular gets punished. So you can't like vote for the punished person because you vote for
Well,
them
no,
by
because
not.
I think everyone's eligible to be the most or least popular,
yeah, everyone.
not just these two protected
Sure.
people.
Yeah. Everyone
Yeah.
everyone is present, but you can't vote
Right.
for the least popular because then they wouldn't
Is
be
this-
the least popular.
Long
I
story
thought it was
short,
the
Well, because
whole
I think the
head-to-head
Twitter
thing.
thing is like, I thought maybe the Twitter thing is like measuring sentiment. Like, I think Verizon is trying to be real smart and like measure whatever because they like
Oh.
are really trying to get you to tweet about all these people and like who you like and who you don't like.
So what's the difference between tweeting and the influence score sponsored by Verizon and the like toll-free number that you call in that you can vote 10 times
Well,
on?
that's
No.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're calling on that number to vote for the decider, but I think everything you tweet on Twitter like goes into everybody's popularity
So
score. That's
so
what I
the
understood.
the call is to determine the decider, and the social media score is to determine the reward and punishment thing.
I wish I could simplify this, but no, you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
When it said the toll-free number, it said you have a limit of 10 votes per person per voting method, which implies to me that the phone call and the Twitter are the same.
Or maybe they have a website?
Like you can, I think you can
It's
tweet
just insanity.
It's-
for both of
It
these
makes
things.
no sense.
There's like 5 different things
All right,
people
guys,
are
gotta
voting
move
for.
it really
It doesn't
fucking
matter.
It doesn't fucking matter.
It just happens
It's
to be
insane.
at this time in culture where they're like, okay, we need to have some sort of Twitter representation because it'll make our show better. And the producers were like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. And they did it fucking poorly.
Executed in the worst way.
Like having one person on one team pick both people, who the fuck does what? That makes no fucking sense.
It's like if somebody had never seen a reality show before, tried to make a reality show.
Because like, well, I just picked the best person on my team,
Yeah.
and the worst person on the other team. Oh, somebody broke their finger. Oh, maybe we should put them in. Like, well,
Oh,
what the
for sure.
Like,
It makes
that's
no sense.
so dumb.
It's crazy.
Let's get to the challenge, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's hop into the challenge because
All
this
right,
is
we-
really much of the show.
Okay, so let me describe this challenge quick. So they put this platform 10 feet up into the air, and they put 2 ramps on either side. And on this platform is some sort of taser-like device. It's like a taser stick.
It's like like
There's
a baton.
2 of them, taser baton, 1 for each side. And the challenge is the 2 contestants, they say go. The contestants run up these ramps. They pick up these taser batons. Part of the ramps fall away. And the person that knocks the other person off the platform is the winner. So the person that falls off the platform is the loser.
And this whole thing basically starts by the dude saying, effectively, there's no rules. Get him off the platform however you can, is kind of how he tees it up.
Well, it's
How does that go?
just kind of like they're just like they got these taser things, which they seem like that would be real dangerous.
They seem like
They looked very scary.
real weak
They did look-
tasers.
Yeah.
Well,
They look scary, but it seemed like after a couple of pokes, people weren't really dropping or anything.
It
crazy.
didn't seem like anyone was at all impacted by being shocked by a taser.
They added so many electricity sound effects during this time that it was like really hard to know if the
Yeah.
taser was real.
Nothing. I mean, the taser was probably real, but like
Low voltage.
low voltage taser.
Yeah.
So like it really didn't affect anything at all.
Like it is not as though we saw somebody jab that thing into someone and they're just on the ground convulsing. Like that was definitely not happening.
We've
There was-
seen a lot of reality shows that have some like electricity things in them. There's a recent challenge that had like people walking through electric wires.
It was
That
dumb.
looked fucking hard. Like people recoil. Not in this. People are just like, why'd
Yeah.
you hit me with the stick?
and then there's like some sort of they're like safety mechanic they mention is because they're all wearing this kind of like upper chest thing that they're like, yeah, this will protect their heart. And I was like, very questionable. I don't
Like it's zapping the
understand
heart.
how that does that because that's not grounded to anything.
That's not how electricity
That-
works
that
at
don't-
all.
Yeah.
Don't understand.
It's
I'm-
I mean it's plastic. So it's,
It'll prevent you
so
from
it's an
getting shocked
insulator.
in the chest.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
If you get shocked in the neck, like it's not gonna.
Oh.
like, it's
Yeah,
not gonna
Like,
help
most
it's
you.
of
not
your
100%,
body is
yeah.
very exposed.
It's not going to protect
Yeah.
you if you get shocked, essentially.
Yeah. It's not.
It's just going to prevent you from getting shocked specifically right in the heart.
Hey, that's an important part.
It is, but
But-
as we find out,
As we
mere
find out, it
moments in this
doesn't really
challenge-
matter.
Well, because that's not the greatest danger.
Of
course not.
10 feet in the air, which is really the dangerous part here.
Let's talk about
With
10
minimal
feet.
padding.
Let's talk about 10 feet. 10 feet is not high enough off the ground for it to be or look impressive, but it is just high enough that when you fall off of it, you're probably going to get injured.
Yeah, it's not like you can
10
fall off
feet's
of
falling
it.
off like a roof, a
Yeah,
one-story single
for
home
sure.
like roof, like a flat roof on a single-story home.
So many people get injured that way.
Right. Like how many stories do you know of like somebody's kids or whatever up on a roof or like you know stories you've heard.
Fall off the ladder.
Fall off the ladder, you know, something bad happens.
Clean
well,
the
guess
gutters.
what?
And it's
guess
not-
what happens here?
And it's not like when you're falling off like the roof or anything where like you can maybe grab a ledge and like hang on. So you're like really only falling a couple of feet. You're falling 10 feet. And a lot of these people are
Getting
falling
shoved
like.
off. Imagine
like
if I
sh-
shoved you off the
just
roof for
like
10 feet.
they're like jumping in a pool, like back, like laying on their back or their stomach or something, like nuts. Like this is one of the most dangerous challenges I've ever seen. The only one I would probably say is more dangerous is the jumping the cars thing.
I was thinking about
in the
it, yeah.
challenge,
Yeah, that was
which
bad.
is
Pretty
super
bad.
dangerous.
At least that was over water though.
Yeah, I mean,
like
you-
this could have been over water. It could have been a super high platform and they give them harnesses. Like there are options
Or just
here.
don't put it a foot off the ground.
Yeah, that
Or just have
or
it
that.
on the ground and just have a circle.
Right.
Like
yeah,
they're like,
a normal challenge.
oh my god,
There was no reason for because
no reason.
as we get into the like so they sort of tee this up as like the first part of it is the race up the thing and it's whoever can get there first is going to have an advantage.
Doesn't matter.
That turns out not to be the case because both people have to get there and they both have to exit the safety zone so they can clear the platforms before the round can actually begin as we'll later like as we get into.
Well-
and it just doesn't you're like, "Wait, what?"
Well,
Like,
we
why
need-
do we even running up this thing?
Well, we need to get into that. That might have
Let's
been a
do it.
rule change
Yeah.
where, okay, so the
Round
two,
two, I think it
two
was, right?
men, they run up. One person has a strategy of like, okay, as soon as he grabs this thing, I'm just going to spear him off this platform.
Pile drives it.
Oh, yeah.
Pile drives this dude off this
Brutal.
platform.
That was a
Brutal.
great tackle, though. Like
Oh,
that was some solid form in that tackle.
Textbook.
Then they both fall off the platform onto the ramp, and the one dude that got like
Driven
driven to the platform, broke his leg. He's off the show. We don't see him ever again. No talk of this dude. He's gone from the past and the future.
They've never
What
mentioned
number
him.
matchup is this in
This
the
is-
show?
2.
This
like
is
the
the
second
second
The
one.
second thing we've seen on this fucking show.
I'm so upset about this. I'm so upset.
And then all the contestants are looking on in horror, and,
Yeah.
then, and then the dude's like, all right,
Tipple.
next
Next
round.
matchup.
Get up there.
Get up there.
Yeah, and then they were like, okay, he didn't let the other guy leave the safety zone, so it was an infraction, and the other team won.
I know it's
Yeah.
a questionable
So it's
call.
questionable whether that was a rule
He definitely did some
before
bullshit
this
there.
happened.
Rules kept appearing out of nowhere.
Right.
That's true. The last challenge, which was the last setup, was
So they tie it up. It's 3-3. Winner take all in this final round.
this final round was great. There was a lot of wrestling. There was back and forth.
Went on for a while.
and then they just kind of cut, and Mr. Tipple was like, "No kicking." I said, "No kicking." reset, and then
and says this is not a wrestling match.
it was a fucking.
What
And we
the
all look at each other like, what the
fuck
hell
is
is it
it?
then?
It's a wrestling
This
match.
is literally the
guys.
sport of wrestling that you've created here. It's
Like
like,
you-
can you push somebody out of this ring?
It's like they gave two two wrestlers in like a sumo ring. Like, okay, it's a wrestling competition. You're not allowed to wrestle, and here's some electrified batons. Try to use those. And people obviously at this point had stopped trying to use the electric thing because they
They
it was
threw
not
him to the
useful.
ground.
It was
If
like,
it-
get that shit out of here.
If it was established as a requirement that all you can do is use the baton to hit people off the platform, it's a different game. That is
Right.
not what they said.
the producers just realized that they weren't specific enough. They're like, oh, they're not using the thing. We got to use all these electric sound effects. What are we gonna do? Make a new rule.
There was definitely a
it's-
thing right after this kicking thing where they came back and they were like really using the electric batons or trying to, whereas before they were just like dump that shit on the ground like I don't
Who
do that.
kicked it off the place? Just get it out of here.
It's like I'm gonna slip on this.
And then it was actually pretty sad. I felt bad when the future team won because the other place sucks so much.
They lost. We didn't mention they lost another person too.
Yeah.
Like one of the women,
Like-
sprained her finger and
Yeah.
also had to go in an ambulance and leave the premises. So this one team is down 2 people.
Yeah, we're down from
Man.
6 people down to 4 while this is going on.
If the producers juiced that rule and changed it and penalized the past team for that point, they fucked them bad. Like if they actually made that up,
I
that's
don't
terrible.
know.
Terrible situation.
I feel bad for the people in the past.
Well,
Yeah.
they didn't screw.
Yeah.
They gave the guy that broke his leg the point for that match, so they didn't screw. him
No,
in that
I don't
round.
think they.
No, they
I
gave
thought
the
that- no, I
future
thought
people the
No,
point.
No one got
no,
a
no,
point,
no, you're right.
They
Oh,
gave
you're
the
right.
past
You're right.
people
You're
the
right. You're right.
They
You're right.
penalized him for
You're
illegal
right.
contact.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
the illegal contact.
So just to be clear,
So it would have been even more lopsided if that didn't happen.
no. So
Yes.
what the thing was happening is the tie was happening with the wrestling, and then they did that new rule again. So who knows which way it would have gone.
Sure.
Like that was the only interesting
It
match
was-
that we
it
thought
was-
they would watch, and then they changed the rule to make it not interesting.
And it
Stop
ended.
having the wrestling thing because that was getting too good. Just
That was actually a pretty good match. There was,
was
there was
so
a lot
good.
of back and forth.
Yeah.
And then the camera cut away and they didn't show it to us.
Everyone stop. No kicking.
It was
they didn't
terrible.
even show the kick. Yeah, terrible.
Ugh.
It was.
But they did show us a man breaking his leg.
I mean,
I cannot.
see the
I
shot. of it,
cannot
but yeah.
believe the show lasted the full 6 weeks.
I can't believe it lasted after someone broke a leg.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is why these shows have insurance.
You gotta leave the show at that point.
I
Yeah.
guarantee
You gotta get out of there.
I guarantee that the insurance company did not have a representative on site making sure that everything was cool.
It does feel like this was play tested. Never.
Definitely not.
Yeah, there's-
Never. It
there's
seems like no one ever tried to push someone off that platform
It's
before.
like, hey Joe, what do you think? Does it look like we got enough padding down there? Yeah, it looks pretty good.
It's okay.
Let's run this thing.
Yeah.
The worst testers. Like I can't believe it. So bad. And then like they stretch this thing out so much. It's so boring.
Yep.
I'm just like, shut up, Mr. Tipple, move on.
He really likes telling us about the social media.
Yeah.
We watch things that happen in the show, and one of my favorite things is like there's this challenge that is set up to be like, a whole big one-on-one challenge. It's done in 12 seconds. Imagine watching one episode of this for 40 minutes.
Oh,
And it
And
was
there's 12 seconds
seconds
of challenge.
I can't believe the show was 40 minutes and one challenge.
I guarantee that is happening all the time in the elimination challenge is because one person gets to select both participants.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
about selecting the
for
strongest and
sure.
weakest. Like,
This might be
nuts.
like the worst production cast of a reality show. Like the production behind it. Like it's definitely in the
Bottom third.
bottom third on that production.
yeah, they,
What about the
Man.
people though? Like,
the people seem
like we
very
haven't even
reasonable.
really teed them up, but like I don't think the show gives you anything like that distinguishable between them. And so
Yeah.
like you're kind of left like not super caring about any of them.
Yeah.
Even though like I agree like there's nothing that they do to be like bad or whatever. There's like the premise of the show and the way they produce it or whatever. Just like they kind of don't give you anything to work with. There's like no confessionals. There's no backstories. There's
They're
kind of no nothing.
confessionals, but they just talk about the house.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
you
just
don't really
like,
learn anything.
what are you
about
doing in
them.
the old place? You're like, yeah, it was really cold.
Yeah.
I guess I'm excited to be
Well-
here, kind of.
And it's even weirder because they sort of tee it up that there's going to be like all this strategy, but like,
Yeah.
no.
but I mean, it's so convoluted that you don't really understand what the strategy could be, and also you don't know anything
The
about the
strategy
people.
is to get yourself on that Twitter poll and win the Twitter poll.
Yeah, you just gotta be super likable for America, I guess.
And I just thought about this. Okay, so this Twitter poll, right? The future side has access to tablets and presumably Twitter.
So they can do 10 votes each.
Juicing it.
Yeah,
votes
so like
each.
they garner
they're the only
votes.
people who
They
care.
can garner votes and like tweet at people to tweet about like
That's
And
another
then-
advantage of being on the future side.
the
Yeah.
past side's just
No,
screwed.
Chris, you're just not being creative enough. You can get tweets out if you're on the prehistoric side.
Smoke signals.
Get some carrier pigeons or some shit.
What do you mean? You're locked in a prefabricated cave.
You ever heard about
You can't
like,
just leave this cave room,
people in
Max.
jails that get these little birds that are their friends and
There's
they
no
attach little
windows.
messages?
I really want to see how you're gonna get that pigeon in that house.
James, I think
There's
it was
holes
I
in
think
the
it was a
walls.
joke.
I get where Max coming from, but like no, just saying it was not
It's
happening.
not gonna allow the pigeon.
There's no, there was no pigeon happening in this scenario.
Put some of that carrot outside. Grab that,
large
bird.
You
carrot.
can't go outside. You're locked in this fake cabin thing. This fake
There's like
cave.
holes in the wall.
No, there is not.
Well, there is like a
When you go outside for the challenge, you capture a pigeon and bring it in the house.
Actually, if you captured a pigeon, you probably just eat it, right?
You definitely want that meat.
you definitely need a fire for that, Max. You can't just
Well, they eventually get a fire going.
okay, yeah. So I was gonna mention something and now I lost my train of thought.
Birds.
The whole
Twitter.
is there anything that like minutia happens at the end of the episode that really matters?
Does anything?
I don't know. We talk about social media some more.
Yeah, I mean,
And then he explains the rules for the next episode, and it's so long.
I definitely
And
zoned
clearly none of us understood because we can barely explain it. So
out.
I like how
zoned
they
out
have weird
hardcore.
names for everything in the show. Like
Duel
every
of
wall
The
has a
decider.
name, and then like everything has a name.
Oh,
the
yeah, the
challenge
duel.
isn't
What's
called
the
the
next one? The
challenge. It's called the Duel of
Destiny?
Destiny.
Duel of
Oh
Destiny.
my God, which is different from this one, which was the worldly
Worldly challenge.
The worldly challenge.
The worldly challenge, yeah.
Yeah, so
God,
there's the
it's-
worldly challenge. Then you have the Duel of Destiny, which determines who gets eliminated.
Then there
my
was the
God.
decider, and then
Yeah,
the protected.
yeah.
Ah.
And then there was like you win the
And even the team names don't make like they name the teams after like these
Chronos
Epoch?
and Epoch.
goddesses or something. Yeah, Chronos and Epoch. I'm like,
They should have let them name their own teams.
right, like
That would
yes,
have been
just-
better.
and then this like when you win the duel, not the duel. What's the other one again?
The worldly.
The worldly challenge. You get to decide what side of the house you want to be on.
Yeah.
And like, oh, because that's a choice.
Gotta know about those advantages and disadvantages, Chris.
They constantly do this in the show, though. They tee up like you get this decision, and you're so privileged to get this decision.
Like, what?
That there's really only like one right answer, and like they even do it for the matching of the teams for like who's gonna go. They're like, okay, there's a coin
Yeah.
flip to get to see who picks to go first. So one team gets to pick, and they're like, well, yeah, the other team has to pick their person, and so we can get our matchup. Obviously, why would we do that? Like, okay, who do you want to be choosing now? They
Yeah.
always constantly
So
just tee it up as
weird.
like, oh, you get to do this thing as a perk. But it's really not a perk at all.
They've made it way more complicated for no reason.
Well, they have to fill the time.
I think the producers spent so much of their time like coming up with all this crazy shit, and then like the execution was so horrible, none of it came together. And you're like,
I guess.
we didn't really need to make it this complicated. We could have just been like, here's the teams.
It's definitely baby's first reality show.
But they try to do too much.
Yeah,
And then they
baby's
do nothing.
Baby's first reality show. You try too much.
Yeah.
Too complicated. You don't focus on getting the right people with the right personalities. You just focus on who's got the bigger muscles or the bigger boobs, and like this is what you get.
There you have it.
Gosh.
Yeah, like it's just nuts.
The only thing that I was and am interested in seeing in this show is like for all those smug assholes who are over on the future side to have to actually go to the past and to have
Watch
have
that.
Yeah.
a taste of the past.
Watch
That is
that
the
episode.
that's the only thing that could be interesting on this show.
Yep.
It's the only
So-
reason you
I
never
agree.
come
And
back.
well, and then once that happens, like I was thinking about that during the show too. I was like, that'll be fun. But like that's the only thing that you really need to see.
Yeah, that's
Like
the only.
these challenges are just brutal. Like watching these people in the bad house just makes you feel bad.
oh
Like
yeah,
it is it's not a very pleasant time here in opposite worlds.
So this is a 6-week thing. And so spoiler, we looked it up. Future House loses in week 4. So it's
yeah.
3 straight weeks of straight freezing temperatures in this house. I can't even imagine watching them slowly deteriorate into worse and worse would be what would be interesting about the show, I think, right now.
I can't believe that they won a competition at all at that point. Like
Yeah.
you
Right.
would think that they would just be so malnourished and exhausted and beat down that they were just giving up.
There's just so few people that like it's like 2v2 because there's only 2 people on that side of the house.
It must be because like they must be taking the elimination every week.
And it's so infuriating because, like, if this was a representation of what these challenges are like the winner is totally arbitrary because the challenges like aren't really a good test of anything.
Yep.
Like, what are we watching?
Well, I mean, you definitely better if you're better at wrestling, you'd be better at this challenge.
Yeah, but like the clip we saw from like that the future episode where there's that thing that's over in 12 seconds seemed
It was
totally
like
insane
somebody was trying to run away from somebody else, and it was just like
in
well-
a tiny arena. Like, it
was
seemed like
like-
no one could have tested this.
and the one dude, the one guy we were aware of that like is super big was this guy trying to chase, and he just like barreled through all the obstacles and was like, "Well, I gotcha, game over."
Would we like to perhaps join the internet corner and learn a little bit more about the future?
yes.
yes.
future.
Okay. So first, I'm going to tell you a fun fact. There is some event, I don't know what, where people can switch teams.
Oh,
One person
Individuals.
switches
Yeah.
teams. Frank, the buff guy.
oh,
I think this happens the same week that the team he was on goes into the shitty house.
So he
Oh.
stays in the good
so
house.
he stays in the good house.
Oh,
So
man.
he's living.
Nothing but the best for Frank.
Also, is
Gee,
Frank
is it
the
because-
MVP?
Is
You know
it because
who
people
wins?
keep getting wounded and they have to like even out the teams?
I think like 3 people in a row went away from team past. So yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, so they had to like even the field.
maybe.
So
Guess who won?
What do you mean? We know Frank won.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Do we know Frank won?
Wait, he won?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
It was based on the
I didn't know
timeline.
that.
It was he said after week 3 or whatever. Then it was week 4. The other team won. So I just put 2
Well,
and 2
no.
together.
The
Well, there's
ultimate
six
won the whole
winner,
thing.
the ultimate winner of the season, like the one.
Oh,
person.
sorry. I thought you were just asking who won that. You're asking
No,
who
no.
won the whole thing. So Frank won.
Yeah.
Wow, that sucks.
Damn.
Of course.
Damn.
He's buff as hell, and all of this thing
That
optimizes
giant
for that.
asshole won
Yeah.
this show. Terrible.
Well,
He-
he's buff, and he never had to live in torture.
poverty,
Oh
yeah.
my god!
Did they make him pee in a cup though at the end of it?
PEDs. Were
No.
there any PD rules that we weren't aware
No,
of?
in the future, everybody's on PEDs.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Why would you not be?
Obviously, the future has access to steroids. So,
So-
like,
Do we have a sense of like how this thing goes down at the end? Like, do the groups merge together into one? Like, how do they get down to one person?
It becomes individual.
Okay.
one person on either side of the glass?
But then, how do you determine what side of the glass you're on in a non-team world?
Don't know, don't care.
Okay.
I bet there's a lot of voting. And I bet
by
there are a lot
America?
by America, and I bet there are a lot of new words. That's my prediction.
Could be.
so there's a big contention in the past side about fire. So, like, they get into this they get into the side, and they're given like flint and some sort of, fire starter
Kindling.
kind of stuff. So they've eventually get a fire the first night, and the one girl. I wrote this down. She said she wet herself when she saw the fire because it was so cold.
Very excited.
And then we watched this YouTube video afterwards called "The Worst Reality Show Ever," which is about this reality show, which we'll tweet it out. Follow us on at Who Put This On.
It's
And
a social media experiment.
social media experiment, definitely. And there's like some other issues with fire in the future in this show because it gets wet and all their wood gets wet. They can't start a fire. I can't imagine living in that little hut there without a bed, without a fire
For a month?
for like a month, literally 3 full weeks.
What the hell are they doing the other 5 days of the week?
I don't know.
A lot of yoga.
Super bored.
Yeah. The other thing is like there's a lot of yoga and dance class shots on both sides.
I bet that tapers off later in the season because this is like early on, and they're trying to like stretch and get ready for the challenge and whatever. But like,
I'm sure that yoga
there's no way
ends.
this will last.
That dance class might keep going,
I mean, Future House can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Future House, you got that hot tub for post challenge, just kind of like
Yeah.
getting those muscles limber, It's nuts.
Horrible to watch.
It's
I would beg Future House to just put the tablet up by the glass and let me watch Netflix.
Yeah.
just put the subtitles on.
I don't know what I would do in fucking prehistoric house stuck for 5 days. Rub sticks together,
You'd just be napping all the time.
whittle
basically.
some
Yeah.
shivs to put in future people.
I mean, the only thing you have to do is try to make a fire. That's your only.
If you don't have a fire, you're trying to make a fire.
Like,
And if you have a
God. 'Cause,
fire,
that's the
you're
problem
just
with this.
by the fire.
At least if it was Survivor, it'd be like, okay, we got to go and gather some foods,
Yeah.
or maybe hunt something, or do some fishing, or make something. But you're just literally in this movie set prehistoric
Yeah.
cave,
It's terrible.
and you're
It
forced to
kinda-
stay
oh,
there,
God.
do nothing but make a fire. That's all. That's the only thing you can do. So once you make the fire, that's it.
Well, it's just like the Big Brother model of reality shows, which
Right.
we don't tend to do that often because
Right.
it's just like
Put a bunch of
there's
people in a room.
people in a house, like they're hanging out. I don't know.
But what's weird about this too is those 6 people, at least in the beginning, are on the same team. So there's not a lot of incentive in them to fight amongst each other or anything really.
This is
So
true.
it's I don't even know what the drama would be. The
If
drama
they-
would be between the houses, but then they can't talk to each other because it's
Yeah.
glass wall.
Yeah.
So I'm I don't it doesn't make any sense. It just falls
None
down.
of this show makes any sense, James. Every aspect of the show makes
Yeah.
no sense.
They just fail at every stage of this. Every production execution point, they just fail.
like a lot
Yeah.
of the drama in a Big Brother house is voting to eliminate people.
Right.
A lot of drama when you're on a team is who do you eliminate? When you don't eliminate anyone via voting, there's no drama.
Yeah. There's no reason to have
There's
an
no,
alliance.
What do you think America's going to vote on in the Twitter
Yeah.
crazy thing? I don't
Who
know.
cares?
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
I mean,
It's also kind of weird to watch the people in the fancy house's reaction to the other people.
Oh yeah, you're uncomfortable the whole time.
It's just very
They
uncomfortable.
said
There's
they're
not
like puppies.
Yeah, there's not a lot of empathy and it's weird. Like it is just really because it does feel like a movie set, but then like at the same time it's so real and brutal what's happening to
Oh.
these people. Like
It is
There were
odd
definitely-
that
Oh,
there's
man.
no empathy, as you mentioned, because like there's a possibility that they get on that side of the house.
Yeah, they
Like,
a
they-
very
they
real
know that they're going
possibility.
there.
Like
and there was no reason they started in the nice house.
Right.
Like they didn't earn that in any way.
yeah,
Like
it's-
it's very strange.
It's a total like Stanford prison experiment kind of
Yeah.
situation where it's like you put people in these roles and then they just kind of like become the thing that
The
you made
monster.
them. Like
Become the monster.
They become the monster.
it is so odd to me that they didn't have a challenge to determine what side of the house you're on.
Yeah, that would have been a great intro banger to this
Ooh.
show.
Ooh.
That would have
Right?
really changed everything.
Well, I mean, they had the great intro banger, but like not
well,
the
then I
one
thought
you
there
wanted.
was going to be some kind of underwear competition.
It should have been like, wow, you did really good in this challenge. That means you're qualified to be in the past where life was harder. That would have been a good twist.
something.
Yeah, but then
Yeah, they could have done anything to make the whole
Anything.
that so
Anything.
much better.
literally anything.
It does feel like sort of like a weird psychological experiment that shouldn't be allowed to happen.
It does kind of feel that way.
Like, it seems illegal.
it
Everything about
might be. It certainly unethical,
Yeah.
potentially illegal.
I mean, the only thing to discuss in this show is essentially the how bad we feel about the people in the old time house. Like that's
Well,
it.
and that's sort of like when for all this voting, like I don't really understand how you would ever vote for the person in the nice house when you're America voting, because like
Yeah.
you really want, like the only reason you're watching this show is to see the tables turn. So like, you want to give the advantage to these people who are being tortured. Also, you legitimately should feel bad for them because it doesn't seem like a trick. It seems like they're in agony.
But
They
So
look
I don't know
like
why you'd
the
vote
power
for
of the internet /
Yeah.
America, who knows?
Totally. I mean, you can never trust either of those things, but like, I just don't understand why you'd
Just-
ever vote the other way.
Yeah.
It's such a horrible position to be in. I mean, like when you're somebody that goes on one of these reality shows, you're basically putting like your life and your safety and like everything in the hands of the producers of this show, and like with whatever they're gonna make you do, and like it just seems like these people are irresponsible, and I feel really bad for the people on the
this
show.
is- This is like a textbook. Do not sign up for Sci-Fi Channel reality show.
Did was Ja Rule an executive producer on this as well?
Hey.
I hope whoever the producers of the show got fired and gotten to never touch another reality show ever.
Harrison, are you looking up who the producers are?
I was gonna try to silently.
Oh man.
All right. I think that we've talked about this show enough, but so I'll come to my ratings.
Let's
Bottom
go.
easy bottom third. Like it's not even close. I think the YouTube video of the worst reality show ever is almost apt. I don't think it's quite the worst one, but it's pretty close. It's great discussing all of these dumb decisions they made, and it's probably going to make the rest of the show even more boring than this episode, but like it does seem, you know, there is some entertainment value in the torture of all of these people. So like there's definitely some reality shows where we've watched where there's no redeeming values of watching these. So I don't think it makes the bottom of the bottom of a James rating, but I think that it's still just bottom third. What do you got for me, James?
Now that you try to talk me out of my bottom of the bottom rating,
I mean, you can do
I
you.
was so yeah. So I was essentially really leaning in towards bottom of the bottom on this, but I do think ultimately like the idea of it's kind of interesting, but the execution is so horrible. So like even as I talk about it right now, I'm indecisive on this. But what I would say the only reason I think I'd put it an 8 and keep it out of the bottom for bottom is that like there's nothing that the show really does like really piss me off, or like the people are just like so blatantly bad or like egregious like that it does that. And like that's really the only thing that I can kind of say for that. So I suppose I'll put it in the middle of the bottom. But the show is bad. Like it's executed poorly, it's produced poorly, the people are not interesting. The idea is about the only thing that's interesting that I can kind of pull from this, and everything else is just a flop. Like challenges are bad, just everything's bad. There's no really good production quality, there's no music, there's no like anything else and so
Right,
the
there
host
was-
is bad.
There was no music.
Yeah, like the lighting, I guess, is okay. I don't know. It's
No, it's
mostly
not.
indoor shots of the house, so it's like
Bottom of
whatever.
the
The
barrel.
lighting looks like they're living on a movie set.
Right, like it
I'm
looks
telling
like a
you.
set. Like it's
The-
real bad.
The camera work actually I thought was the only
Except for
good
they
thing.
cut away from any time they did anything interesting, like the kicking that they never showed. But yeah, agreed. So yeah, I don't know. I'll stick with an 8 on the James scale, but the show is bad.
What do you got for us, Santa Beth?
I'm going bottom of the bottom. I really, it's so bad. I don't know if I can think of many shows that are worse than this.
You think
'Cause I
any
think-
show?
No,
Oh,
not really. I mean, like for reality shows, like I think I can get down with a lot of bad reality TV because they're like I think with most reality shows, like when it's bad, there's sort of an element of whimsy and humor to get from it. But weirdly, like this had none of that for me. Like it's like you're seeing people just like really miserable. You're seeing people like sort of be the worst versions of themselves. Like you're seeing a man break his leg. Like, like I don't know. The challenge was like so bad. The concept makes no sense. Like I don't even understand like what the idea of this show was. Like there's no explanation. Like you don't really understand like why this is even happening. Like not a lot in there that I find like super entertaining. Like watching it with friends, I think what was an interesting thing to do, but like it wasn't super enjoyable for me. So like this is the bottom. No good. No good.
it's a no good.
I
on the
don't know
internet.
about this one.
Annabeth says no good.
No good.
Put it on the back of the box.
Do not watch. Steer clear.
What do you got for us, Harrison?
Oh man, I don't know what I can add that hasn't already been said here. I mean, it's a not a good show. It is not a good show. It is poorly conceived of. It is poorly executed. Like, I guess I could see a world where you could execute this concept well.
But what is the concept?
I don't even know what the concept
The
is.
concept is like one house has a certain advantage, disadvantage. The other house has advantage, disadvantage.
That is
And
the
then
key
you, like-
thing.
Yeah, but that
then
doesn't
you
exist.
compete.
That is the key thing that they have not nailed. It's like there should be some good things and bad things about, like, you know, hey, the AI that's running the future house should sometimes kind of go haywire and wake
Right.
you up in the middle of the night or do something scary, or like something should be negative should be happening to the future people. Something positive should be happening to the past people. It's
Hence
just,
why you should like the choice of what house to go to actually needs to like be a choice.
there should be some stakes to it. It's just like, oh yeah, well if you live in the past house, you get to take a spear to the next challenge, or like whatever it is. Yeah, it's just it's all around. It's an all around bottom third.
All-time low for you?
It's not worse than Celebrity Apprentice.
Okay.
but
Just checking.
it can't be. It's not worse than Celebrity Apprentice. It is not worse than Real Housewives of New Jersey. But it's
Real Housewives Atlanta though.
I don't know if we watched that
We
one.
have
but
not watched that
Yeah,
one.
Obviously.
it's pretty bad.
Bottom third, I might go middle of the bottom just because like this is really informative from a what not to do perspective. Like it's a fascinating little piece of reality TV history.
It is like if there was a class you're taking in college of reality TV,
Yeah.
this is you'd learn a lot from this show.
This
for
is
sure.
the like
That'd be a great
agreed.
class.
this is like the Crystal Pepsi of reality TV. Also
That's
have,
a great quote. That's another box quote there. It's the Crystal Pepsi of reality TV.
Could be good.
I have some more internet corner if you guys are interested.
Yeah,
Sure.
Take
light
us
it up.
there.
All right. The executive producer couldn't find any reference to the show on his IMDb.
He's purged it.
The creator has created Opposite World and Mundos Oposito or something, which is the Chilean version that this is based on.
They made they based it on that.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, they made another one of these? No way.
The only person I could find with like a real like cast of stuff he's worked on is the director. Let me give you a little bit of what else Hans van Riet has worked on.
Hans van Riet.
Some shows you've heard of, like Minute to Win It. He has a lot of TV pilots that were never picked up, including Fast Food Game Show, America's Most American, Tap That Awesome App, and Emoji Whiz.
Wait, those are two different shows.
Oh yeah.
Man, if we
Wow.
get some of those pilots, dude.
Yo, we gotta email this dude to send us a copy of this.
Man,
Like,
if we
we
could
need
do
to
this
get
as
it.
a
We
monthly
loved your work
theme.
on Opposite Worlds. Can we please get
Yo,
copies of your failed pilots? That would be, I'd really
America's
appreciate
Most
it.
American?
Yes.
That sounds great.
Yo, we gotta get the fans to tweet at us and at Hans Van Richt to send us a copy of these shows.
Please.
I think I got the name
How
wrong.
are
but
we?
yeah,
How
no,
is the
you got it.
audience?
Oh, nice.
How is the audience gonna watch these shows with us?
We're gonna get the retweets on the poll so we get that Twitter influence up.
Yeah.
So
You
that
need
We
get
just
that
have to
Twitter.
convince them to distribute the pilot
yeah.
Broadly.
broadly.
Just upload it to YouTube for us, please. No
Video.
one's gonna.
Or
No
let
one's
us.
gonna content
Dailymotion.
ID that down.
no, it doesn't exist in their content ID.
He also has a show called Intuition, but the TU is the number 2.
Wow.
Intuition.
Is that a
What do we think that's
twinning?
about?
I
That
don't
definitely
know.
seems like a twinning.
there was an
Ripoff.
into twin wishing something.
Nope,
Is that
that's
a phrase?
twinning.
Twin tuition.
Twin tuition. That's what it was. You have to use your twin tuitioners.
hmm
That
All
was a
right,
bad
I think
show.
we're done about the show. I've got an update for everyone
Oh,
shoot.
man.
on everyone's favorite
yeah,
beach
yeah.
club.
Oh, the beach club.
Yes.
What's
the
happening at the
beach
club?
is fucking bananas.
Have you been watching it,
You've
or
been
have you just
watching.
watched like a recent?
I've just been watching it on the side. I'm not caught up. There was like we were away for 2 weeks, as you guys have noticed. So there was like 5 episodes between that. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, Lindsay has been on, like, for some reason as a boss, she's just like, you guys don't shape up. You're going to get out of here. And she's like fired like 3 people from this show.
Damn.
That's great.
How's
Not
Kayla
fucking around.
doing?
Kayla, she gone.
Oh man, just
She
in and out.
She gone.
Not surprised.
So like Lindsay like comes to like the house and like inspects the house while all the people are out, you know, partying in the back as you do. And like she comes out and Lindsay's like, I should fire all of you because this house is a mess. And like Kayla's just like, don't go through my shit. And then Lindsay's like, well, you're fired. And she was gone.
Wow.
Okay.
And this was right after she fired 2 other people from the show.
Wow.
So there are real stakes on this show.
There are. And they keep stating that they're going to fire other people. They're like, after they fired these 3 people,
Nice.
they're like, you know, I'm not sure I need all of you people. We need to like, they're like always talking about whittling people down. And like, Lindsay's always like, yeah, you're just like not doing it right. And you're just like, what kind of boss is this? This sounds miserable. People are like talking about how I'm so happy. I really want to be in this Lindsay Lohan thing. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Like,
Do
what?
people get replaced when they leave? Do they bring in more people?
Like, there was 8 people when we started, and then they added 2 more people, and then they fired 2 people. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. But then they fired somebody else, so now they're just down. And like that one asshole is still on the show, and he's becoming more and more of an asshole. And he really needs to leave the if you were Lindsay Lohan, that is the person you need to fire. But like, he's good for this television show, so he doesn't get fired.
Is he still bringing in the money though?
Is he the guy
For
who
the club?
pimped himself out
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first
the-
episode?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's like still kind of in that relationship, which just goes off and on because he's like a
Wait,
man whore.
With that,
the
with
Russian-
that
With
woman?
that same woman?
The same woman, yeah.
No, really?
Whoa.
Like, and like she's like, yeah, I'm looking for like more, and he's like, yeah, I'm looking to bang while I'm here, and like, so she's just like, he's an asshole, and he keeps like making fun of everyone and putting everyone down, and like, he's like one of the worst people I've ever seen on a reality show, and he's still on it.
That's a big statement.
Wow.
He's just.
But
a
is he
dick.
bringing in the cash?
It has
He's
it has
selling
not
those
been the
bottles.
focus of this show. The focus is okay, there's like we have this party or we've got this thing, and they're like, oh, they might mention they've done well or not, but they haven't really gone in any numbers or anything. They've just been like, we need to fire people.
Okay.
They're not part of the Lindsay Lohan brand. And I'm like, this is nuts. I don't really recommend watching it, but it's very interesting side TV content that I can kind of zone out on, but it's just something to talk about.
Well, how's our main guy, Panos?
Panos?
That was
Papadopoulos
his name,
Stoma.
right?
Yeah.
Panos?
Panos is he's still helping out Lindsay. Like, he's still kind of a douche,
Okay.
but like, I don't really understand the relationship between Panos and Lindsay still, other than like, Lindsay fired the one person and Lindsay's like, I can't fire anyone else.
And then she's been firing everybody.
No. Well, she had Panos fire the next person.
yeah, I thought she
Oh.
was too nice to fire.
And then Lindsay fired Kayla because she talked back to Lindsay. She can't have people talking back to her on the Lindsay Lohan brand.
Like, to be honest, like, you shouldn't be talking back to your boss anyway.
Well,
like
your
that,
boss
I
should
mean.
be a sane human being.
Sure.
I could definitely see like Kayla like not taking this for very long. Regardless, it's just like I feel like it was gonna be like, hey, I don't appreciate you going through my stuff, but then Lindsay acted like a complete bitch. So then obviously Kayla kind of acted like a bitch, and then she was fired.
So was the big like reveal just that she's a crazy bitch?
Well, the big reveal is that Kayla got fired.
Oh, okay.
That was the reveal.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Thank you for your
yeah.
service.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So are you going to finish out the season?
I don't find a lot of content that I could just put on that like half of my like just I can
Brain.
zone out
Yeah.
and not really give a fuck about.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I start putting on some other shows, like I get sucked in.
But not
just,
this
like,
one.
Not this one.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Really
You're
filling a
making
void in
that.
Chris's life.
You're making that great content. I hope you get renewed for another season so I can kind
Zone
of
out some
not
more.
watch your
Not
show.
really care. Another great endorsement by Chrysler.
Put it on the box.
Right on the box.
We need to have a box that we can post for the end of season 3, which
Uh-huh.
it's got to be coming up soon, guys.
I think so.
Like this is 43.
This
One
is
day.
it.
This is the end, guys. Season 4 is next week.
But we're not drinking any of those crazy
Oh,
Mountain Dew
you're
tequila
right,
things.
you're right, you're right.
Oh.
What are those? What are
Redneck
those?
margarita.
Yeah, those
Redneck
redneck
Marg.
margs.
Wait, we did that?
Yeah, we did that.
No, I know we did it. We didn't do it for our season finale.
I don't
No,
know.
that was part of season 3.
There's usually some kind of.
Do you want to?
drinking
Do you
antic
really
for
want to
a
drink
finale.
that again?
We
that
can
was
drink
It'll be
them.
a new antic.
For the new season of Queer Eye that's coming out.
Ooh.
It's already out.
Is it out?
Yeah. All right. I think that do you guys want to discuss the India trip a bit, or do you want to discuss another reality show, or what are
Oh, I thought
your
Max had
thoughts?
something there. Then
I was gonna say like we might do an India show next week potentially. Maybe hold on to it till
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say. So some of us, actually, nobody else in this room but me, went to go see a movie while in India to get that Indian movie cinema experience. So we saw Gully Boy.
We.
Me and Noah from the pod, fellow
And Brian.
Potter, and Brian. Three of the Potters, 2 of which are not here. It was a cool experience. One, just watching a movie in India that was in Hindi with English subtitles. Pretty overall pleasant, good experience. My favorite touch of the movie theater was they had 8 flavors of popcorn to choose from, such as, you have your traditional butters and your chocolates, but then they had things like sour cream and onion and some kind of spicy something mix. I can't remember the names. They were much more interesting. But they were kind of all over the map. And they gave us free samples so we could find
Oh,
the flavor
that's
that best
good.
sparked joy in us.
Which flavor sparked joy in you?
So I really liked the chocolate and caramel combo. While similar, you might think, to the Cinerama Theater in Seattle, it was quite different. It was a little more of a syrupy chocolate, so it kind of like would melt a little more in your mouth and would like get that like smooth chocolatey experience.
Sure.
So I really liked that one. And then with those hints of caramel around it, was a great combo.
There you go.
And I was a fan of. It was like some kind of, I can't remember the spice. It was some kind of like spicy cheddar or something or other, like Indian spice mix, which was
Ooh.
pretty tasty. That was quite cool.
Sounds good.
And the intermission window, got to mention that, which was great. So there was like a 15-minute intermission, like halfway through this like 2-hour movie. You got up, went to the restroom, top your drinks off, come back, and it was great.
Such a good idea.
It was really great.
I don't.
We'll wait to talk about more about the movie once some folks have seen it, which I think it's now airing here.
No, well, it is playing in downtown Seattle.
Okay, at least in Seattle it's airing. I don't know about other
I'm
theaters
not sure
near
they're going
you.
to have that intermission though.
They're probably not going to have the intermission. I think that we should bring intermissions back. I thought about this while there. I'm like, why aren't intermissions a thing? Because get me on this. All sporting events in America have some sort of break or period stop in them. Got halftime at football games, halftime in basketball. You got 2 different period intermissions in hockey. Like pretty much every sport has some kind of break time.
But
and
that's
so,
for
like,
the
I feel like the
players, not the
American-
fans, though.
No, halftime is arguably a lot more for the fans to get more beers before the second half. Let's be real.
I know you hate it, James, but I'm not sure this applies to baseball.
Baseball has a
That's-
break every inning,
that's
in
seven-
between every
It's not
half
like-
inning.
it's not like a
and they have a
medal. You
7th
got
inning
the
stretch
7th inning
with a
stretch.
song.
The 7th inning stretch is legit.
It's literally a song that tells you to go buy some more peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Like,
That's fair. I was
Okay.
just saying, like, you were saying there's always a midpoint in all of these.
yeah. It doesn't always have to be the halfway, but there's some sort of break.
Yeah.
about
And so
curling?
I feel like the American appetite should be there for this opportunity to use the restroom and get more consumable beverages.
I think it's a great opportunity to discuss what you've seen so far in the movie and speculate about what might be happening in the second half. I
Yeah.
think that's another good point about the
Oh,
intermission.
also that,
Very
yeah.
good.
It did come up at an interesting plot time too, where it like was sort of like just about to transition the story a bit. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
What's going to happen
some
now?
crazy shit's gonna go on with this girl character in this movie.
I'm not sure I really need that that cliffhanger and then recap fucking thing in my movies.
There was no recap.
I'm just saying,
and there was no
like,
cliffhanger. It was just sort of like it felt like
I'm just
naturally
saying,
something
if
was
it
gonna
was
happen.
more
Pause.
commonplace, that's what's going to happen. That's what happens in plays. Like plays have intermissions, and it's usually at some sort of cliffhanger. And I'm just like, I like the 3-act structure. So like the intermission kind of doesn't really fit into a 3-act structure because you put that in the middle of the second act. You put it at the beginning of the second act, at the end of the second. Like, what? Like,
What do you do?
What do you do? What I do, I would appreciate the time to go pee. That would be useful, but it's just not going to happen, James.
Didn't one
Oh,
of the
I get it. It's the only reason I can imagine is they want to crank more butts through seats. But here's why I don't think that that's the optimal move because everyone knows you're making more money on the concession stands and the jacked up prices there. So when you got servers and stuff bringing you food during the movie and you got all this time to get more stuff, like you're there. They have a full menu at this place to order sandwiches and things. Like I would actually consider it in that environment because you're there for like 3 hours. If you're going to a movie for an hour and a half, you're in, you're out, bing, bang,
That's
boom, you're moving on.
The real commitment. It is interesting to me.
There's a whole
that-
different pacing of it.
that with, like-
nobody was in a rush. It was very much like, yeah, the movie will start whenever. We're going to be here for 3 hours. Don't worry about it.
I'm going to transition this topic
Do it.
to something slightly different. The popcorn situation is like very terrible at like Regal AMC. Like they've got like the butter popcorn and you could put more butter on it. And like I think at some places you could buy some sort of powder to put on it. But like you go to Cinerama, they got that chocolate popcorn, and you go to this place, there's 8 different kinds of popcorn. Like, why are they not experimenting with this popcorn thing?
I have bad news, Chris.
What?
AMC has Cheetos popcorn.
Oh.
Do they have Flamin' Hot Cheetos popcorn?
I think so.
Well,
Holy
I'd be
shit.
interested in trying that.
Is it the powder,
No, well, it's
or
a
are there
little
Cheetos in the popcorn?
both.
Oh,
It's
God.
not both.
It's both.
Wait, they put
gross.
so there's powder on the popcorn and
It's a-
Cheetos in the bag.
It's a very light amount of the powder and Cheetos in the bag.
Wow.
Oh, you're blowing my mind right now, Max.
I've
I,
ordered
I,
it.
would- I would rather have the Cheeto dust on the popcorn than just
Yeah.
random Cheetos mixed
I want
in
the
with
Cheeto-
the popcorn.
when you
I've
said
ordered
that-
it. It's pretty good.
That Cheeto dust on the popcorn is really what you want. Like I don't even need those Cheetos, but I think that the different texture would be useful. I think that would add something.
It's actually pretty good because I mean, Cheetos are made from corn flour. Like,
Corn, 2 ways.
yeah, exactly.
Corn a million ways.
It's
Welcome to
not pop,
America.
though.
They,
True.
they should get that like Doritos Cooler Ranch dust on there. Get that on the
Oh,
popcorn.
yeah.
I'm telling you, there's a whole untapped market here of potential for like
Should we just quit our jobs and go into the popcorn industry?
Yeah, but the only
Oh my
people
God.
that can tap
Find
into
us
this
on
industry are
Kickstarter.
movie theaters.
We have to go buy a movie theater.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's working out okay now
No,
for
we
Paul
just
Allen, but
patent putting dust on popcorn.
I don't think you can patent that. It's already done, as we've discussed. Shark Tank idea rejected. For those reasons, I'm out, Max.
All right, guys. I think that'll do it for us. Hopefully next week we find an Indian show. We're having trouble
Can we do Indian Shark Tank?
with these international shows because there's like some sort of deal that they make where like this format you can only show in this region, and like they'll like license the formats to other regions, but you can't watch those other same format shows from other regions. Like there was one it was on Amazon Prime in India, and I tried to watch it on my Amazon Prime US account, and it just like wouldn't let me.
Yep.
So it's really frustrating. So I don't know if we solved the problem, if it's that you sold our audience, if you know, because it's going to be even harder for them to like solve. But like we got some, because we really do want to watch more international shows. Like it's just really hard for us
hard.
to find.
Yeah.
So if you can tweet at Who Put This On and give us that popularity score, and if you know how to watch some, you know,
Send us a link to that.
some
illegal
farm
stream.
reality shows that can help us out. You can find us on facebook.com/whoputthison. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time.